Raise your hand right now if you feel like you got self-care down. Like you know what it means, beyond bubble baths, massages, and face masks, and you practice it every day. Not as a reaction to extreme burnout and overwhelm, but an embodied way of living that always makes sure that you have a seat at the table. Anyone? Anyone? Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Kira Wackett. Thanks for joining me for another video as we work to empower and equip you with the confidence and skills to write your own story so that you can live your life on purpose. Today we're talking self-care. And no, not in the floofy unicorn sprinkles kind of way, but in the very real, nitty-gritty reality of self-care and why you don't have the luxury of not taking it seriously. Self-care and self-compassion, an oversaturated topic that often leaves one feeling annoyed and overwhelmed when talking about it. We've all been told to take better care of ourselves. We all know the phrase, put your own oxygen mask on first. No one needs me to say it again. It'd be like assuming that someone who smokes needs to be told that it's bad for them. Yet, compassion fatigue, resentment, neglecting one's mental and physical health, and the inability to put oneself first contribute to the highest rates of burnout, chronic health issues, and more. So what gets in the way? It's the misconception about what self-care is and how to put it into practice. Self-care is literally just caring for yourself. In general, it stands for anything you do that's good for you. It's about self-compassion, self-efficacy, and enhancing your self-esteem. Now, I know what you're thinking. No, self-care isn't about doing less all the time or listening to Enya while painting your nails and relaxing in a bubble bath. For some of you, that is absolutely what it means, but it's not the answer for all of us. Sometimes it's about doing more of what you love, saying yes to the things to which you want to say yes, taking the leap and doing that thing that you've been longing to do for years but seemingly always talk yourself out of. Sometimes it's about getting your hands dirty, playing in the dirt, hiking up to a beautiful peak, or rearranging your home to open up the flow of creative energy. Sometimes it's about saying no, letting go of relationships, roles, and ideas that no longer serve you, walking away from the band-aids that you've been putting on deep wounds that need to actually heal from the inside out. Sometimes it's about making the hard choices that we might not want to do, but know may give us greater freedom. Getting off of social media, giving up drinking or substances, quitting a job that stifles our joy, or taking that first step to put ourselves out there again, even if we've been burned before. I love what Joseph Cardillo, author of Body Intelligence, says. Self-care isn't just about treating yourself. It's about improving yourself, which is what truly makes us feel good about who we are. So as you think about what it means to build a practice of self-care, I want you to extend your thinking beyond the preconceived notions you all have. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? What do you have to be willing to let go of to get there? And then start. Now, I also think it's important to talk about what self-care actually does for the body, because once we've figured out kind of what that would look like, we still need to create a little bit more buy-in to actually do it and stick with it. So in addition to enhancing one's productivity, cultivating greater self-esteem, allowing greater empathy and consistency in one's life, and just honestly feeling better all around, self-care literally changes your body chemistry. Self-care releases oxytocin, sometimes referred to as the cuddle or feel-good hormone. This hormone has historically been understood as enhancing feelings of connectedness, love, and compassion. And what's awesome is the more it's released in response to self-care activities, the more you feel those things towards yourself. Plus, oxytocin release has been correlated with improved sleep quality, a reduction of cortisol in the body, and enhances your immune system. Now, as if you need more rationale for self-care after hearing all that, the more you practice self-care, the more you actually hardwire new patterns in the brain that are less negative and or self-destructive. It's a principle referred to as the acting as if. The more you act as if you believe or are worth it, the more your brain starts to build connections to believe that you are in fact worth it. which is pretty awesome. And to me, the idea I can eventually get to the point that I no longer dump all over myself every time something doesn't go right, or I let someone down, or I'm just ruminating on something is motivation enough to keep working on my own self-care. But there's another problem that I think we need to address. So we've talked about why we need to do it, how we need to do it, but we need to talk about shame. And that shame makes us feel like self-care is a luxury that we shouldn't do. Now, I work with clients all the time who constantly focus on supporting others, pushing back against me when I try to factor them into the equation, even the littlest bit, because they think they're selfish and self-absorbed. The belief here is deeply embedded in their brains that they can't put themselves first even for a moment because it would go against their values and beliefs, and activates this deeply rooted shame story that if they put themselves first, they'll actively be threatening their connection and belonging with others. So they put it off. They put themselves last to try and alleviate those fears that shame enacts within them as they strive to be the best they can be for everyone else. And honestly, I get it, but shame is a jerk. A very convincing jerk. And I too have listened to shame for years. I mean, I'm in a profession focused on putting the needs of others at the forefront every day. And then I leave work and I get into a life where I have perpetuated the notion that I can do it all for every person and require nothing in return. A farce with such a deep history that changing it now seems impossible. But if I don't, what's the cost? To what end does this lead us to give shame the reign of our lives? For me, the cost has been greater feelings of shame, exhaustion, resentment, disconnection, and severe loneliness. I feel shame whenever I can't keep up with those ridiculous pressures before me and assume that wanting to put myself first or expecting others to show up for me is wrong. And again, I come back to that same word my clients use, I'm selfish. But guess what? It never ends up leaving me feel like a better or more fulfilled person. I actually have seen relationships struggle because I burn myself out to the point I can't be there for them or end up pulling back from them and isolate until I can show up again. And what do you think that leaves me feeling? Yeah, more shame. So are you catching on? When we let shame drive the bus, it keeps us trapped in a repetitive cycle of self-destruction as long as we let it. So what choices do we have here? I want to assert the notion that being selfish isn't evil or unkind. Taking care of our needs, nurturing our dreams, and getting clear on our why is imperative to be able to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. Sometimes it can't be about the other people in your life. Sometimes we have to dare to dream of a world where we too are a factor, because when we don't, we're setting examples to people around us that they too shouldn't put themselves first, and we reinforce to people in our lives that they don't have to factor us in. And you know what that breeds? Exactly, another shame cycle. So I leave it to you. What would it look like to allow yourself sometimes to be selfish? What effects might you experience if you gave yourself permission to show up more fully to your life? Head to the comments and let's dive into this discussion together. And of course, I would love to hear about your self-care practices, goals, and ideas. Because remember, this is about us creating a daily practice, integrating self-care and self-love into our life, and the more ideas and connection, the better. And of course, knowledge is power, so be sure to like and share this video with someone else you think could benefit from hearing it. And if it felt helpful for you and you want to stay clued in to more tools, insight, and skill work, click that subscribe button. While you're down there, head into the show notes and get yourself on my AR Insider list, and you're going to get exclusive content like this delivered to your inbox every single day that takes you even deeper than the work that we do here, so that you can really start to do that work on your shame resilience journey. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Remember, you have the power to write your own story. So let's go get that pen back. See you next time.